Call the meeting to order for Monday, May 2nd, 2022 of the Lake Jackson City Council regular session starting at 6:30 p.m. I will start this evening with the Pledge of Allegiance led by Councilwoman Seth.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
And we'll have the invocation by Councilman Buell.
Let us pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you again for another wonderful day and an opportunity to meet here this evening. And as our meeting progresses and decisions have to be made, we ask that you give us the wisdom, strength, and courage to make the decisions that we feel are in the best interest of our city and that of our residents. We pray for our men and women of the armed forces, stateside and abroad. Please be with our first responders, our police officers, firemen, and be with us, Lord, as we travel home. Get us home safely. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. We have visitors' comments. This is an opportunity for visitors to make comment on any item that's not on the agenda. Is there anyone that has a wish to make a comment? You?
Yes, I'm a visitor today.
Ah, okay. Turn your
Good
shirt
evening,
inside out.
Mr. Mayor, members of council. I wanted to take an opportunity and publicly recognize the boys and girls Brazos Wood water polo teams for their hard efforts. They are consistent state qualifiers, all at the direction of head coach Robert Brown, who is a exceptional teacher, educator, and example for these young men and women. They have made it to the state tournaments consistently for the past 5 years. The girls team did miss a year in there, but the great group of youth, and Coach Brown leads a great organization both with the high school teams as well as a U.S. Water Polo League team as they build these kids up in their confidence. Thank you.
Well, thank you for bringing it to us. Anybody else? All right, we'll move on to consent, declaration of conflict of interest. This is where any member on council has the opportunity to declare a conflict of interest on any item on the agenda, being consent or regular agenda. Is there anyone that has notification? We'll move on to consent agenda. We have item 1, approved minutes of April 18, 2022. And then we have consent, accept board and commission minutes for Lake Jackson Development Corporation, traffic, Keep Lake Jackson Beautiful, and parks. Item 3 is ordinance amending Chapter 120 utilities for a rate increase for roll-offs and compactors, second reading. Number 4 is ordinance amending Chapter 120 utilities to add water well clearance restrictions for livestock, second reading. Number 5, ordinance amending Chapter 98 traffic and vehicle to designate truck routes to include Oyster Creek Drive from Dixie Drive to Old Angleton Road, second reading. Item 6 is approve and an amendment to lease between T-Mobile and the city for space on the Eucalyptus water tower. And then item 7 is accept resignation of Josie LaChance from the Lake Jackson Development Corporation. Is there any request to remove an item for further discussion? Not hearing any, I'll take a motion on consent.
Move for approval, consent agenda 1 through 7.
Okay, a motion
Second.
and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we're going to move on to regular agenda. Item 1 is consideration and approval of an ordinance authorizing the issuance of the City of Lake Jackson, Texas Certificates of Obligation Series 2022, entering into a paying agent registrar agreement and approving all other matters related thereto for park, restrooms, and playground equipment. Joe?
Thank you, Mayor, members of council. I'll get this booklet passed out to you here.
Thank you, sir. Mr.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you, Mayor, members of council. Good to be here tonight. Joe Morrow with Hilltop Securities. We did go into the market this morning with the offering of your certificates of obligation to put $3.5 million in proceeds into your construction fund. Real quickly, I'll just walk you through this booklet. Behind tab 1 is a graph of the bond buyer index for 20-year bonds. Again, this is what we use as an indication of where market rates are going, very much like you hear the Dow Jones Industrial Average quoted. This is based on weekly data points, and it's a 20-year history. You can see that we've bounced up off of the all-time lows that we had during the pandemic as we've come out, and you've heard about supply chain issues, inflation, and then we add on to that the invasion in Ukraine, and our rates have spiked up quite a bit, so that the current 20-year average of debt is at a 3.21 as of last Thursday. So but if you look at that in context of, even though rates have gone up quite a bit off of the 2% level that we were hovering off of during the pandemic, if you look at that data point on the far right-hand side and then look back across the page, from a historical perspective, we're still in very good condition to be accessing the markets. And I think that was reflected today in the result of our offering. If you'll turn to tab 2, you can see we had 7 firms that signed up to bid on the bonds, and it was fairly tight there in the response. The winner came from FHN Financial Capital Markets at a 2.85. Behind tab number 3 is the debt service on this offering. So that, with your acceptance and award tonight, we will lock in those coupons, and that debt service schedule will be, what you will pay for the next 10 years. You do have an option to call that final maturity out there at 3/15/32. That's callable on 3/15/31. So if you get out there and want to exercise that option, you certainly have it. Behind tab 4, we included your rating reports. As you might expect, the rating process was fairly quick because they had just looked at y'all back in November as we were doing the sales going into fiscal or year end, rather, not fiscal year end, but calendar year end. So this was really just a check-in from them to be sure that everything was still in order. You have very good ratings, AA1 over AA+. The reports reflect the strong management of the city. So as expected, they confirmed those interest rates, and when you get a chance, go ahead and review those reports. I think it's interesting to see what the people in New York, in the rating agencies, how they view the city and the attributes that they hold up, which, again, gets back to strong management and fund balances, and y'all do a very good job. So with that, we would open up for any questions that you may have. Dan Martinez is with us, your bond counsel, and can answer any questions you may have on the legal documents or the process moving forward to closing, which we anticipate closing on May the 26th. So with that, we would open for questions, if there are any.
What do we set in as average size of the city on bond rating? So we set high, medium, low, or?
That's a good question. A AA1 over AA plus, you are the top of ratings. There's only one spot to go higher, and that's AAA. There are not many ratings equivalent to the AA1 over a AA plus. That's a very strong rating. City of Houston is a AA3, so.
And there's not much else we could do outside of our control. I mean, outside of nabbing Toyota or Tesla, diversifying the economy. They always say we're kind of a one-trick pony, just being, tied to the petrochemical industry. And then the other one is if we had maybe, a $30 million reserve.
That's about it. That's what they would look at to bump you up. So it's,
And then the taxpayers are gonna have questions, right?
Yes.
I would think so.
Some other question is the interest rate is frozen, set, even though you're closing on the 22nd of May? Or there still has a
Yes.
change between here and then?
Your action tonight will lock in the interest rates.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions?
Thank you, sir.
All right,
Thank you.
thank you. You want to read that?
Yes. This is an ordinance authorizing the issuance of the City of Lake Jackson, Texas Certificates of Obligation Series 2022, entering into a paying agent registrar agreement and approval, all other matters related thereto. And again, just for the audience, this is for a $3.5 million issuance, and the interest rates was just a tad above 2.85%. And this is for restrooms and playgrounds in the park system that'll be paid back
And
by
pathways.
the, and pathways, and they'll be paid back by the half-cent sales tax.
That is, the health sales tax that is restricted to this type of use.
Yes, that's correct.
The other thing is, people may ask, why are we doing a CO instead of a regular bond? And
Yeah, and the reason why is the half cent was approved by the voters in 1995, and state law prohibits us from going out to the voters and asking for their approval each time we do a debt issuance, other like the general obligation, because that's set by the tax rate. This is, the state sees this as, this tax rate, this half cent, has been approved by the voters once, and after that, you just need to follow the state law on what it can
Meet the
fund,
requirements.
meet the requirements with the restrictions.
Okay,
And I had asked the question once before, I think to Pam, and she'd answered well, just so everybody understands, is we have other CO debt obligations that are actually about to be falling off, right? So we keep a pretty even rate. We're not an in-debt city.
Yes, and then in this one, we're extremely conservative in that we try to keep what we designate as a target fund balance that the council asked us to do years ago, where we have pledged or in the bank account enough to pay next year's debt incomplete. So if all of a sudden we could collect no sales tax, we would have enough in the bank to pay for the next year's bank loan.
okay.
But we're, like the man said, we're in darn good shape to have a double A plus. That
Yep.
indicates a lot.
All right. Any other questions? Anybody? All right, I'll take a motion on this item. This ordinance. Ordinance, right?
Yes, ordinance number 22-2247.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve the ordinance authorizing the issuance of City of Lake Jackson, Texas Certificates of Obligation, Series 2022, entering into a paying agent/registrar agreement and approving all other matters related hereto for park, restrooms, and playground equipment, including the pathway as presented.
Okay, got a motion? I need a second.
Second.
Motion is second. Any other questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. This was Miss Eve's last debt issuance of her career
That's right.
of this size, unless she wants to go out and buy a new pickup.
Okay, we're gonna move on to item 2 is discuss and consider requests from the fill station to close the westbound lane of parking away from Oak Drive to Parking Place from 2 p.m. to midnight on Saturday, May 14, 2022, for their annual crawfish boil. Kevin, you wanna come talk to us real quick? And this is something we've done in the past, and,
Yeah, it's been a few years.
yeah.
Well, I mean, that's pretty much it. We're having our annual crawfish boil on the 14th of May. In the past, we've seen it safer for everybody if we shut that front road down for the parking in front. People can walk to and from their cars safer, easier, than we don't have people driving in front with people eating out, because we usually put chairs out in front of the barricades right there. And we just feel like it makes a better environment for everybody coming downtown.
Same setup as last time, the
Same
police,
set.
porta cans, all that good stuff.
Yes, sir. Yep, same
Very
setup.
well- Very well. run.
Mark will be over to the side. We have all our staff on duty that night already. Like I said, extra security, extra people watching the doors. We'll only have that front entrance open. We cut off that side entrance.
How much are tickets? When can we buy them?
Right now, $20 at the fill station.
How many people do y'all usually see come through?
We've had 3. The first one was bigger than we'll probably have ever again. There was about 500 people there throughout the night. The next 2 were a little bit smaller, probably about 300 or so. This one I think right now they've sold less than 100 tickets to it, so it's usually that last week or 2 whenever we get a good push. But
What kind of entertainment?
we have, I think Tim Branch is playing, and Matt Mathis, I believe, is playing. So we're trying to just keep everything local for everybody.
How long they been on sale?
About 3 weeks.
Just 100?
Mm-hmm. But it's always that last bit. Everybody waits till the end.
Yeah.
So, but no, that's what we're asking for.
So we're gonna provide barricades for them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we'll put them up, take them down.
Okay.
Clean up everything, power wash the next day, everything.
Yeah, I know, we appreciate you power washing
Yeah.
afterwards, so that's
We
nice.
take
We
care
get our
of it.
once a year power wash.
Yeah, take care of it right there, so.
That's right. All right,
I'd like to make a
Sure.
motion for the request from the filling station to close the westbound lane from Parking Way from Oak Drive to Parkway Place from 2 p.m. to midnight on Saturday, May the 14th.
Second.
Second.
For May the 14th, for 2022, for the annual crawfish boil.
Second.
and I got a second from Mr. Buell. Any other questions?
Excuse me there, Councilman. I thought you'd done.
All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Thank you very much.
Thank y'all.
Good luck.
Hopefully we'll see y'all there.
Yeah.
And is this your last meeting? Or you got
One more, he got one more.
One more,
I
okay.
gotta show up next time.
Maybe I'll bring Sailor to come see you out.
He said you can bring him some crawfish.
All right. We're going to item 3 is discuss recycling service study and recommendations from New Gen Strategies. And we have Dave?
We do. We have Mr. Dave Yonke with New Gen Strategies. We brought New Gen Strategies sometime in the fall to help us start looking at our recycling options. As you're aware, June of 21, we were notified by Seabreeze that they were going to close down their building where our recyclables are stored. Us and the city of Clute at least, and they were trying to give us at least a year, to look into a possible solution of where to take those. So We've bounced around a couple of ideas, but we wanted to explore every option that we could. So we thought we had a recommendation from regarding Nugent Strategies that they could help us do that. They had looked at other similar situations. So Mr. Yankee is going to present a couple of options for us to consider. Staff is kind of locked in on a couple of key ones that we're very interested in doing so, especially because our timeline to get out is very quick. And so we may have a short-term solution and then also a long-term solution that we need to explore with council. But I'll turn it over to Mr. Yankee. He's the expert.
Can I put my PowerPoint on, or
Yeah.
let me, and I apologize.
We're not,
a few
there's not a
minutes
decision
late.
tonight, correct?
No, we're not asking for a decision.
Now it's time for the blue screen of death to show.
Don't say it.
Yeah, I apologize, I'm a few minutes late. I took the wrong turns during rush hour onto the Grand Parkway and Highway 6, and traffic's not very forgiving when you're taking wrong turns, so, coming in from Austin. Okay, just to give you a little background. First off, so you understand what our firm's background is and why we're doing this study. So we're a 50-person management consulting firm. We focus on financial cost service studies, feasibility analysis in water, wastewater, electric, and solid waste services. So these are the type of studies we do. I'm out of our Austin, Texas office. Just a little background on myself. I've been involved in the solid waste and recycling area and water and wastewater for the past 30 years. What I really focus on are a lot of the cost of service and rate design studies and feasibility analyses like this. So just to describe again, what I want to go through very briefly this evening, the purpose for the study, Modesto touched on that already, but then I'm going to go through the 6 scenarios and then our findings and recommendations. I will mention in the 6 scenarios, there are a fair amount of numbers. I wouldn't focus on those. At the end, findings and recommendations, I summarize what the costs are for all of them, so it's very easy to compare them from a total cost standpoint, as well as what it would mean on a cost per month per household. So again, just in background, as was mentioned, starting in June 2022, Waste Connections is no longer going to be accepting your recyclables. So what you had to look at is what are some other options out there. I will mention we've done these types of studies for other cities. This starts to become an issue. For instance, I helped the city of Stillwater, Oklahoma about 2 years ago because they're stuck between Tulsa and Oklahoma City, about 80 miles each way to a material recovery facility. We worked with Temple, Texas about 4 years ago. They're about 60 miles away. So it gets where it's expensive to haul those materials one way in a garbage truck or a recycling truck. So you want to figure out your most cost-effective option. So 6 scenarios. The first one, what we wanted to do is develop a status quo. What does it cost you right now to provide your recycling services to your citizens? Then we looked at if you were, instead of hauling the materials right now like you do to the Seabreeze landfill at their recycling site, and I want to emphasize, they're going to the landfill, they're not going in the landfill, they're going to a building at the landfill where they're then hauled to a recycling center. The second scenario is if your garbage trucks, your recycling trucks were to directly haul that to the material recovery facilities, the MRFs in Houston. It's about 60 miles one way. We'll emphasize garbage trucks, you know, your Suburban, your Tahoe might go 80 miles an hour fine. Garbage trucks aren't designed for really even going 60 miles an hour. Stuff starts to shake and vibrate on those things. So then the third scenario was recycling staging facility, looking if you were to build a facility where your garbage trucks would come in, drop the recyclables, and then they would be loaded onto an 18-wheeler. The fourth scenario builds off the recycling staging facility, but instead of using the rear loader trucks right now where you have the blue bags and they're just thrown into the back of the truck and then taken for recycling, a lot of cities are moving towards carts or an automated system. So the semi-automated is where you take your current rear loader truck, it has a tipper, it lifts the can and dumps the materials in. Scenario 5 is a fully automated where you have this arm come out of the side of the truck, picks up the can, puts the recyclables in. And then the sixth scenario is the one, because of the time crunch you're under, I mean, next month is when Waste Connections wants to stop. The city's been doing some real good work at looking at some other options locally, and we'll talk about that in scenario 6. And to be clear, when it comes to the scenarios with automated, semi-automated, I'm not saying you should go to those, but what we wanted to do was be very thorough and cost out all these options. So if you want to consider that down the road, you have the information. So this is scenario 1. Again, I'll just hit the high points. In all these scenarios, we take your equipment costs and we amortize it. So what that means, if a garbage truck costs $350,000 and it has a useful life of 7 years, the capital amortized cost is $50,000 a year. That goes into your equipment costs. So we do that with your capital. Labor costs are salaries, benefits, contractual. You're paying Waste Connections at the Seabreeze landfill $4,000 a month for taking those materials and then hauling them to the MRF in Houston.
Yeah, and I wanted to stop Dave real quick here.
Sure.
I mean, this number would be different if we were doing a rate design. And so we just asked David just to look at just, the essence of providing the service. If you do a rate design, there would be more things thrown in here, because what we don't have in here is recycling's portion of their franchise fee. Doesn't have the cost of supervision. So, whatever percentage it is for the foreman or the public works superintendent, those items are not in here. Those things would get factored if we were doing a rate analysis. We were really just trying to say, from its pure essence, if we were going to cut a cost out, what would that cost be? And that's what all those other things would still stay probably in the rate, but this is what the cost would be removed.
So these are just your direct
External
costs.
Yes.
The costs you for doing the job. So scenario 2, again, don't worry about all the numbers as a point of reference. So I just said total costs for your current program right now is $235,000 a year. If you look at the bottom line, this is direct hauling, and we ran several different scenarios here. So there are 2 MRFs in Houston we would recommend you look at. FCC and Waste Management both have MRFs. And again, that MRF is just a material recovery facility where all your recyclables come, they're sorted, then they bale, whether it's the aluminum, the different plastics, cardboard, mixed paper, et cetera. But they have 2 different MRFs. FCC's rates, and we talked with the managers for both those facilities. FCC's a little cheaper, so I kind of think they might be a little better. But bottom line, your current cost, direct cost for status quo is about $235,000. So here you can see direct hauling. It's anywhere from about $268,000 to about $308,000. So about $30,000 to $70,000 more. And that's due to 2 things. Number 1, your folks have to drive. The Friday scenario, you're paying them overtime, and at the end of the day, running it down and then coming back. Monday, they're doing it on a Monday during their regular day. And bottom line, your processing fees cost more.
On your equipment cost, I don't see anywhere where you put in an escalator for wear and tear on equipment, because those trucks aren't going to last the 7 years that you said they would.
What's embedded in the report, which you should all have, in the detailed schedules, we have repair and maintenance costs. We visited with Sabrina and went and looked back actually at what your actual costs are. So we've got the capital costs, repair and maintenance, and fuel. Because you're correct, those take they take a beating.
Right.
Scenario 3 is if you were to build a recycling staging facility, and the total cost, depending whether you go to FCC or Waste Management's about $415,000 to $430,000. Here's the important thing. So what we're looking at, in our experience and looking at what you have, because you got about 700 tons of recyclables a year that you're processing through. About 720 is what you're averaging. 5,000 square foot facility should be able to have sufficient room, 5,000 square feet, three-sided, and then have room for an 18-wheeler. It's an open top with a conveyor to load the recyclables. I actually, the timing was perfect. The city of Temple, and again, they're about 80,000 in population. I called them up, have a good relationship. They had just issued a bid to build their recycling staging facility. Their cost for the facility was $285 a square foot. So that's with, as your financial advisor mentioned, with all the supply chain disruptions, Ukraine, all that stuff, it's just under $300 a square foot. So to be conservative, we use 300 times 5,000 is $1.5 million. Yes.
So that's the city of Lake Jackson building it, and
Yeah.
that's them manning it.
Thank you for asking that question, because I was going fast.
I'm sorry.
No, I'm glad you asked that. This is the city were to build that facility,
Okay.
so you build it, and then we have factored in half an FTE, so half a person's time, 20 hours a week, working there to help with loading the vehicles. And that's based on your current salaries that you pay, so it's consistent with what your wage rates are here. So that's assuming the city of Lake Jackson would operate it. But what it does also include is if you look at, so the city would construct it and operate it. The way you do your recycling right now, you only collect your recyclables from your single family on Thursdays and Fridays, and then multifamily Wednesday. You're having basically 3 loads. I mean, let me back up. You have 1 load dropped on Wednesday. On Thursday, on Friday, you typically, if they have room, they don't even dump Thursday because it's not that full. So a truck will dump. You have 2 trucks, 2 of them will dump on Friday. So you're talking 3 loads of recyclables on basically Wednesday, Thursday, Friday total. It's not a lot of volume. Half an FTE to load it. There's a conveyor belt system with the skid steer. You can load them in. You would contract out the hauling. There are a lot of companies that you get an 18-wheeler, they have an open top canvas, and you contract out for them to haul the material to the MRFs. The MRFs will take the material in 18-wheelers, rear loaders, automated side loaders, front loaders, all of them. We double check that they would take them in 18-wheelers, and they do. So that would be contracted out, because you don't want to really be in the hauling business.
And Councilman Baker, this is very similar to how Waste Connection does it at the landfill at Seabreeze. What where their savings is, they probably piggyback off a lot of 18-wheelers that are bringing trash in and then pay for it to turn out to haul the material out. But in essence, they're storing the city materials in a kind of open covered building, letting it sit there, and then they push it into an 18-wheeler. So it's kind of a repeat of what they're doing currently at the site.
And so do you not see any value in doing compaction? That would just cut on your freight costs.
So no, that's a good question there as well. So what you do is you would conveyor belt drops it, it goes up, drops into the 18-wheeler. You're typically going to be around 250 pounds per cubic yard. These trailers handle 100 cubic yards. So because it's up there, it's kind of hard to compact it. If you're in a transfer station where you have a floor that's elevated and your trailer's down and it's dropping it in like that, sometimes you'll use the front end loader bucket to compact it, but you're really just tamping it down, not smashing it. Because the other thing, when it gets to the MRF, they don't want it compacted to like 800 to 1,000 pounds per cubic yard like a garbage truck.
Right.
Because they got to sort
They got
it.
to sort through it, yeah. Yeah, but the only reason I asked that question, because at one time we looked at a scenario of having a true compactor there to where we bring it in there, we compact it to, reduce the size, the footprint of it, and possibly reduce the number of loads that have to go up there, but,
So what, and let me tell you, and that's a good point you bring up. So this is, and everything we've done is very conservative. In other words, we're budgeting the worst case. Okay, I expect you won't need 72 loads a year, but that's what we budgeted kind of as a worst case. I think you will get better compaction than the 250 pounds, but again, we're conservative. Temple had a baling facility
Right.
at their site, so they baled their aluminum. And so depending what you want to do with this facility, right now you just, if you were to build it, bring the recyclables in, load them, take them out. Depending over time, if you wanted to add a baler to it and do some baling, because you get a higher value for that material if you send those bales, that's always something you could do.
But that brings in a level of complexity, because we would have to do the sorting at our location to be able to do that.
Yes, that is correct.
Do we have any concerns about being able to staff something like this, since we're having hard time staffing and sanitation?
Yes, that's always a concern.
Hopefully, what we're talking about for additional labor, though, is half an FTE, half of one person's. So, I mean, you're right, these are challenging times. So
But
that's
this is the type of work that's here. We're looking at same type of work that we're doing at the mulch site, is operating a front loader, basically.
Yes.
It's not
Yeah.
hauling bags and all this kind of
Yeah,
stuff.
and
It's
it may
sitting
be
in
the
front
same operator,
Right.
the same operators operating the front loader at the mulch site, and having them work, a day or two here, moving the material, there.
So to be clear, that 415 or the 433,000 a year, if you were to haul to Waste Management, that assumes you issued a bond for the $1.5 million, so you had principal and interest, and that includes up there, when you look at labor costs, collection vehicle maintenance costs, that 100,000, 108,000, that includes all the costs of the collection. So everything is in here, to give you apples to apples. So we also wanted to look at, what if you were to do semi-automated or automated? And so the cost goes up some to 482,000 to 527,000. And the reason for that is that you still have your current staffing. Semi-automated is kind of known as being the worst of both worlds.
Right.
Because you still need the two folks on the truck, and so you don't really get any economies, because they have to get out and put it on the tipper and do it in the back. That's why you'll actually see the number go down. So it's 482, 5. I'm sorry, were you going to say something?
Yeah, the added, thing that I've heard from, at least from our public works superintendent who's done this in the city of Galveston, is that the add-on tippers don't hold up well either.
Well, the other thing that, when I'm bored and don't have anything to do, is, recently I was in Austin, so I followed the garbage trucks around. And they had these tippers.
I do that too, but.
And the thing is the guys, the workers hardly used them, because it was easier just to roll it up and just tip it over, instead of going through the operation of pulling it
Yeah.
over here, wrapping the thing around here, and letting the machine do it. They just, unless it was a really heavy one, they didn't use the tipper.
You're spot on. And then one of the reasons you use automated is for health and safety, because you'd be amazed at, and again, this is some of the stuff, because I do this, but you talk about safety for your police and fire. A lot of cities, if you look from an OSHA standpoint, being a garbage man is considerably more dangerous.
Lifting and everything. Yeah.
Injuries and deaths. So it's anyhow. But you'll see the 482 to 527, when you go fully automated, see how the numbers dropped about 20, 30 grand. So again, from 482 to 527, that's even with buying the new trucks, okay, but taking the labor costs out more than offsets it.
The other item on this is that I do not believe any of our recycling trucks are totally dedicated towards recycling. Are they?
I
They
think
are.
that, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's one of the reasons also, the fully amortized cost is 100% of the truck in those scenarios.
So we don't run.
So you have that. Another big cost, if you went automated, is that top line total cart cost, $663,000. That's purchasing carts at about $75 a piece.
And we have a partner that we've talked to that could help us cut that cost down on the carts. And through the chemical industry has a partnership that they cut the cost. Basically, they contribute the raw materials at no cost, and then you're paying for the
Yeah.
construction.
This is definitely, so, I mean, Dave's presented a lot of information. This is one scenario that we probably need to keep in our back pocket the time when equipment is due for a
Right.
change. Because what it will do is, it could give us a little bit of labor savings, and it also could help increase recycling rates.
Yeah.
And I haven't looked, flip back, did you change the tonnage whenever you went to automated and semi-automated?
Did you see that?
Well, I know it, because that's the information we've been given,
Yeah.
is that when you go to carts,
Yep.
that you have they've seen that there's an uptick in
Yeah, so.
recycling.
Well, I'm not gonna sneak anything by you. So 720 tons is what you're doing right now. And yeah, we bumped it up 30%. You typically see an increase in that. That's the good news.
The other thing is the processing cost will go down, because if we switch,
Yeah.
your capital cost goes up at first, but your processing cost goes down from the MRF because they're charging us extra to deal with a blue bag.
Because they have to debag.
They have to debag.
But can we go to another bag?
You would go to a cart and no bag anymore.
No bag, the bag is the problem,
Yeah,
regardless of what color it is or whatever.
yeah. So, yeah, that, we have budgeted for annual tonnage goes from 720 to 904, and then the processing fees go down to 50 and 100. It is worth noting, that with the processing costs, FCC's at $90 and Waste Management's at $115 for the blue bags. And then FCC drops a lot more to
Oh, yeah.
50, and Waste Management only went down 100.
And again, this is a scenario that we're not right now recommending. It's too costly. And there's we will have to involve the public if council wants to go that way, because probably in 1997 or 98, I know that sounds like a long time
It was a
ago
long
for
time
some,
ago, yeah.
we surveyed the citizens, and even before then, I think in 92, we surveyed the citizens, and the citizens were very emphatic of, no, they did not want to go containerized, they wanted to stay back. I do not know if that sentiment still exists, but it's a service delivery change, and I would think that you'd probably want to get input from the public. If there was ever interested of us going rapid rail, there's, yes, it helps on the manpower issue, it helps on the efficiency, but it also changes the operation for the public and stuff. And
It
so,
also is the point of no return, because if you
Right.
go that route, there's no going back.
so it's not a decision that we could just make in a vacuum.
So those are the scenarios. The sixth and final then, and because the issue is the timing, because if you were to, you either have to direct haul the materials, which isn't really good, or, I mean, you're gonna build a recycling staging facility, and that takes time. So, Modesto and staff reaching out and doing some research, they found this opportunity with Werner, forgot their official full title, Werner Material, or they're over in Freeport. So what they are willing to do, and again, all those top costs are just your continuing, your direct hauling, that 108,000 labor, that's all your guys. So what they would do, they have a building that would be available, and then they would haul the materials in 40 cubic yard roll-off containers. So that's a roll-off truck, and you've got a big 40 cubic yard open top dumpster that they put on the back, and then the materials are dumped in there. They would charge $600 a pull to take it, and then you've got the processing cost, the 720 at the different rates, so that's about 400 grand. I've thrown a lot of numbers, so let me just show you the comparisons on the recommendations. So bottom line, your status quo is, we'll just use FCC, that's easier, at $235,000. If you direct haul, you know, it's gonna add about $50,000 more to 287. You build a recycling staging facility, it's 415. Semi-automated 482, so this is your most expensive. Then you go down with automated, and then partnership with VME is about 400 grand. So bottom line, what you'll see we're recommending is that you enter into an agreement here with Werner while you construct a facility. The reason, I'll tell you, that would be our recommendation. Now, what's that mean from a rate standpoint? So, based on your 11,000 households, multifamily and single family, I'll just focus on scenario 1. Basically, right now, the direct costs are about $1.78 per month per household. Scenario 3, you build the recycling staging facility, including your current crews and everything. You're at $3.15 per month per household if you were to haul to FCC, $3.29 if you go to Waste Management. Then if you partner with Werner, they're $3.04 per month per household. I will mention, so those are your total direct costs for your recycling program. Honestly, that your recycling program's only around $3 per month per household. It's pretty good. That's pretty
What
good.
do you see as
rate.
an average?
Usually, honestly, it's more than that. $4 to $5.
Yeah, I see five a lot.
Yeah.
In a lot of communities.
I've got a client right now, they're at $6 per month per household. So,
Let me ask you another question is currently, well, that's a good picture to talk about this too, because at the current facility, the way we do it right now is we send it to Seabreeze and they put it in this building like that. And then if they unload a truck and they see contamination, then they landfill it and they charge us landfill costs. So there's not anything in there other than we collect everything and we ship it to Houston, and then they would do the contamination component of it. And then there would be a fee for disposal of contaminated.
yep, that
Do
is
you know what that
correct.
fee would be? Or-
They gave us the rate. I have to see in the
Yeah.
report. What surprised me was our, Dave, help me, what do they call it?
Yeah, the residual or contamination was pretty low.
Yeah,
And so, of course, we took them a load from the residential rate. We did not take because we did an audit, so we didn't take the audit from the apartment load. That my suspicion is, if we do have a contamination, it's from there, because a lot of times, you'll just have open dumpsters, and if a garbage dumpster's full, then
They go
someone will
into the
throw
recycle.
garbage in the recycling dumpster.
So in closing, and then I'm glad to take any more questions, but in the short term, we would recommend that the city contract with Werner Material and Equipment to haul the recyclables. They're willing to do it. They can get up and running very quickly. Doesn't cause any interruption to your current recycling program. And then we would recommend that you look at constructing a recycling staging facility. It's basically just a 5,000 square foot building, 3-sided. And you want to make sure, well, I mean, that's basically what it is. I won't get into more. But here's the thing, and I'm sorry, the reason we would recommend you spend the money on the building, though, when we look back at the cost, you're only, Werner is 304, and then scenario 3, you're at 315, so it's only 11 cents more. And here's the thing. What happens, and Modesto and I were talking about this on Friday, what happens if, right now Werner wants to do this and it's great and they're gonna make money and they're gonna help the city out. But what happens if they get an opportunity to use that property for something else or to sell it or whatever? Then you're back to this situation
Right.
again.
You won't be beholden to anybody.
Yeah, this way you can control.
Control your own destiny.
Your future, yep. And there might, and again, I mentioned it in the report, but I didn't put anything in. There might be an opportunity that some other folks might want to use the facility. I didn't put anything in for that, but if you did,
Yeah.
make sure you make money on it.
Yeah, on this scenario, working with Werner, we've been in discussions with Clute, because Clute is in the same boat. Werner, their space is big enough to accept their material, and so we would just somehow figure out, the percentage of their material going up and sharing, a little bit of the cost on the transport there. And of course, they've expressed interest if we build a facility, doing the same thing. The one thing that, we didn't ask Mr. Yankee to look at was the stop the service. That is, something, that council would have to consider as well. But I think initially we would you'd get feedback from the citizens of stopping the recycling. That does not mean that the recycling fee would go away. What it means is that it would be transferred over to the sanitation side, because you still have to take that material,
gotta go work
though
somewhere.
cheaper,
Right.
it still has to be dumped. And those employees that work on that recycling route work all during the week picking up heavy trash. So in some ways, you'd be able to cut some cost out, but you wouldn't be able to eliminate all of a sudden $3 from the bill. You'd have to figure out what that cost component is of still maintaining those people that are still dedicated to picking up heavy trash, because most likely, when we have the rate design, we're not collecting enough on the garbage rate. or the water and sewer rate, because what kicks our behind every week is picking up large trash, picking up, not the household garbage and the recycling. It's the bulky trash, building material, green debris. That is what is primary taxes, the workforce, and that it's not just the, things are put in the bag. Those, are efficiently handled. It's the other stuff that takes a lot of manpower.
And we've seen just a couple comments here since I'm here and drove here, I might as well say it and then leave. But on the recycling side, we've had a couple cities. Temple asked us, what if we eliminated the recycling program? We actually did a study for the city of Phoenix, which has 400,000 households. And this was at the depths of, the recycling prices that were down. And to be clear, the city staff did not want to do it. They weren't recommending it. They had some citizen group that said to look at it. What we have found is typically, and again, broad range, you're still going to incur whatever, because you have those 2 trucks and labor, you're going to incur usually still about 60, 70% of that cost. You still have the capital cost for the equipment. If you stop those trucks, depending what your garbage trucks are doing, they're either filling up faster now, because now people aren't separating, now they're putting everything there, and you still have to run another route because you don't have enough. So you have that issue, that it's not like you get rid of 2 routes 100%. And, so.
And that's some of the conversation I've had with people ever since we started talking about this a year ago already, was I was getting feedback from folks. And yes, you have some that, that they are true believers in recycling, and they understand that most of the time you don't recover your costs on recycling, but they still think it's the right thing to do for the environment. And as long as it's not extraordinarily expensive, they're still supportive of it. And then you have the group that you're talking about that just say, well, if we didn't do that, that's $3 off my bill. And the reality is no, it's not $3 off your bill.
Right.
It's still got to be collected, and it's still got to it'll have to go to landfill.
And I will tell you, the last thing, Temple had this issue, they had the discussion at a work session, this was 4 years ago. They have the big Scott and White hospital system headquartered there and spreading out, but, one of the council members asked, well, should we look at, instead of building a recycling staging facility, just shut the program down? And he wasn't saying we should do it, but he threw it out, 'cause it's a business decision, because it
Right.
does cost money. And they were, recycling service in a lot of communities, it's seen as just like you have water service, cable, your cell phone coverage, all those libraries. people expect it.
Right.
So, anyhow, any other questions?
Any questions? Again, this is just a discussion to bring us up to date on this.
Yeah, at the, so at the next, capital projects workshop, we'll probably talk about, the facility and timing on, do we do some preliminary, do we want to, go that route? Do we want to fund some preliminary engineering? I wouldn't be recommending construction, right away. Probably at the next council meeting, I will be bringing up at least a short-term agreement with Werner, probably a month to month, to, accept the material and then haul it to, I've only been in discussion with Waste Management and not FCC, and the reason why is because that was where our material was going. I had not explored another option, so we'll probably try to give a phone call there and see if we can get an audit price, an audit and a price from them as well. But our discussion over the last 3 months has been with Waste Management.
So is Werner material okay with a month, or is it beneficial?
Actually,
for
I
us?
think that's what our discussions have been month to month. I think they're also exploring this option and seeing if
See
they
if it's a
want,
work-
see if they want to do it.
Okay.
What year, how many years have we been doing it? Have we had a recycling program?
Recycling, it started, I believe, in 1994.
Okay.
Well, the only thing bad about it month to month is we don't want to be in a position that they decide not to do it and we have nowhere to go. in
Our
short term.
fallback is to drive it up ourselves, haul it up ourselves.
Yeah,
We always have that scenario that we could. do.
Werner's the only place right now that we could find, to take it.
Probably entertain maybe a 60-day notice, or
Yeah.
something like that. Give
Yeah.
you some chance to.
We can ask them for as long as we can. I'm just, I have no carrot with them.
Yeah, they don't care.
We opened the discussion asking for, is there any way that you could help? We could be here 6 months from now and they may come to us and say, we love having you. They may want a long-term
Right.
contract and we wouldn't have to build something. I just think right now, it's not a business that they're totally in and stuff, so, they're cautious and I can understand that.
Okay. All right, we're gonna move on to, item 4. It's, discuss a draft of an ordinance that regulates massage establishments. Sherry, you wanna talk about this?
Sure. So, we had that initial discussion about massage establishments being a place where trafficking occurs. But I went back and looked at the laws as to what we could and couldn't do. And the state law is really specific for massage parlors that we can't pass a law where we treat them differently than the way we treat other medical facilities. And so the choice is to go and group medical facilities together, and it doesn't have to be all of them, it doesn't have to be like doctor's offices, and have a list of things that they need to be inspected for. Or what I did with this is I went through the actual state laws and I pulled out the ones that our inspectors would be able to inspect for. I mean, some of the cities, they were actually talking about which germs weren't allowed, and we're not testing for germs. And so, and it's basic cleanliness and keeping your massage oils covered and things like that. And also making sure that the facility license and the therapist license is there and photos are attached so that you can't claim, no, that's my license, when it isn't. I did add in 3 things that aren't in the state laws, regulations that I see in a lot of the other cities, and that's it right there, stop. That's it right there, the unobstructed view from the outside. And that doesn't mean all windows. I mean, we're thinking that could just be the front door. Keeping all interior doors unlocked during normal business hours, and then restricting the hours from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. I did 6 a.m. because, shift workers want their massages too. And those 3 aren't in the state law, but I see them across all the cities mainly do those.
Right.
And so this is what I've come up with. I don't know if y'all want to make it stronger or weaker, or,
I know we heard from Heaven Sent, I believe is who was here that night. Have we had much other feedback from any other
I don't
local
know
businesses?
if we've gone to the businesses to talk to them. Modesto, have you sent, I don't think we've done
No.
that yet.
No, we have not.
I mean, that's the other thing we could do. Y'all could read through this and give me your opinions, and then we can go talk to the businesses.
Yeah, there's, when I was reviewing this with Sherry, there's a long list of different things that different ordinance, like you were saying, different ordinances, or some just suggestions on how you could, what you could put into your ordinance. But I like how Sherry's gone back and looked to see of what can we really do. Because some of these cities did go ahead and put some of those things in there, and they haven't been contested yet or, questioned about them yet, but it may create a problem for them in the future. So I think I appreciate the approach that she's taking is very self-conscious and looking for the best interest of the city, so we do have a good ordinance that if it would run into an issue, we can address it. The one thing that I'd like to add is that it is suggested, and I hope that we can move forward with it also, is that you have it to where we would have to go into zoning and change the zoning to where these establishments would be conditional. And so that they would have to come to the city council for approval to bring another business into the city. And what the value of that is that by making it that way, my understanding is that if they were in violation of this ordinance, then you could pull their certificate of occupancy and shut them down because they're not licensed. Their license isn't current. Because currently we have one business that's operating in the city that their license is not current. It's been out of date for over a year.
Right, and so what we can do as a city for that, and I added in the violations, is write someone who works there at least a citation and make the max $2,000 a day, because this is health and safety. I don't, the question would be up to code enforcement, who's actually in charge of that in order to get the citation that you're not licensed. But the therapists have to be licensed too, so they should at least have a license.
And I like, you kind of put in here like an escalator on, if it's a first offense, it's handled one way, and if it's an additional, it's a continuing issue, you handle it a different way. It's elevated a little bit.
Yeah, it's per violation per day,
Yeah.
so you could go back every day and write someone a citation if they don't close it down because they're not licensed, or if they are not keeping the place clean.
But that person, again, in that one paragraph on the offenses that could go all the way back to the landlord to get the
Right.
fine.
It's because the landlords are responsible for what happens on their property.
Right.
And I think that would be a good education for them.
And do we have definitions of, or would we have definitions of nude or partially nude person providing a massage? Because that's very subjective these days.
No, but I can come up with one.
I'm sure there's a legal definition of what nudity is.
You
With
know
their
it when you see
SOBs.
it. That's what the Supreme Court said.
Yeah.
All right, thank
Yep.
you. I'll look into that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Guess we won't have Deshaun Watson down.
Do it now?
Ooh, oh.
Okay.
Nothing.
So does anybody have any question on this? Again, she's just bringing it to a draft to see if there's anything we want to add, take away, or suggestions on it.
I do have maybe one other suggestion, and this may already be in massage law, I don't know massage law. And that is, for example, occasionally you have a minor who is the client.
Okay, so the law is that the parents have to give consent or be with the minor.
Okay, so that.
Written consent
okay.
or they have to be with the minor.
Okay.
Yes.
And the other challenge we have is that these businesses that are not on the up and up, they're seeing the pressure being put on massage salons and parlors. And so they're changing their name from massage to reflexology. And so, again,
It's a
with
foot massage, Buster.
foot massage, well, that's what it's supposed to be. Anyway, and then, but in the definitions that she's got up here, Sherry put in here, it starts talking about when you start touching,
Above the ankle.
yeah.
I added reflexology, but I believe reflexology is massage because the massage is to manipulate
Right.
soft tissue by hand. I mean, certainly some people have some darn hard feet, but it's still, to me, it's still a massage.
Okay. Anything else? Anything from the audience? Okay. We'll keep pressing forward.
Good job, Chair, thank you.
Thank you. That's one of the most fun things I get to do in my job.
All right, we're going to discuss and consider resolution denying CenterPoint Energy Houston Electric's intent to increase rates. So, this is a Sherry item because she knows everything it is about electricity.
Every few years, electric companies like CenterPoint, the ones that do the infrastructure, every year they have what's called a GRIP filing, where they increase the rates, and it doesn't get contested, it's automatic. So like, I think it's every 3 years, they have to have a formal study to see if that was okay, and if how much they actually want to raise it is okay. That's what this is, and so the Gulf Coast Coalition of Cities hires consultants to study the filings and make sure they're not overcharging. This one is a huge, because the last time they did this, we had that Tax Relief Act, and they had to lower it. And so it looks to me like they're making up for time,
Yep.
making up for money. And so this one is really important to study. And they want to, what is it? I know it's up there. $145 million increase.
Almost 146.
So, yeah, so that's, what this does is, we have jurisdiction over this as a city, and we deny the increase, and it automatically goes to the PUC, and they have a hearing, although what really happens is the consultants study it, Lloyd Gosling goes in and contests it, and then they settle.
And how are they all tied into, like, ERCOT?
It's
So-
separate.
So this
Okay,
is
separate.
this is the regulated part of the electric bill that you get. So you have two components when you get your electric bill. One is a retail provider that you can
Right.
select any
That's-
company.
And that's this.
That's not this. This is the distribution portion
Okay.
of your bill, which is controlled by PUC. So there's a
Right.
regulated portion, and any cost that they incur for infrastructure, maintenance and maintenance and distribution costs goes to this part of the bill.
Right, it's the poles and the wires, everything that CenterPoint does. And they've done a lot of, I've seen anyway, Vinay might know more than me, it seems like they've done a lot of hardening on the system lately. And,
Part of the February freeze cost will be rolled into this
Yes.
particular portion of your
I
bill.
just feel like we've already paid that bill somewhere along the line,
oh,
you know?
Well, you paid on the gas
that, and
side.
your-
This is the
your
electric side.
grandchildren
Yeah.
You know
will
what I'm
like
talking
that.
about,
Yeah.
the ERCOT bill?
Yeah, and that would be on the gas side or the generation side. This is gonna be probably, a lot of it is gonna be attributed to the hardening, side of on the distribution side, not the generation.
Right,
And understand, CenterPoint, and they're going to be coming to us soon to talk about their resilience program, and I'm sure that's tied into this a bit, but they do have, they have a strong initiative within their company, CenterPoint does, to harden the infrastructure down to individual homes.
that'd be great.
And depending on what people are willing to put up with is how far they can go with that. I mean, they're talking about, that they could go underground to every home in the city of Lake Jackson, but a lot of people won't agree with that. And so they'll go wherever they can and have agreement with, where they'll harden the infrastructure in the inner city is what they're really pushing for.
And in this instance, I mean, each individual city does not have the expertise to look at these rates.
No, that's why we joined the GCCC, which now has 43 cities in our area. So, yeah, no, that's why we joined them. We have an assessment every year, every other year, based on our population, and it's pretty cheap for what we get.
Yep. All right, any other discussion on that? You want to read the resolution, please?
You caught me off guard here. Resolution of the City of Lake Jackson, Texas, finding that CenterPoint Energy Houston Electric LLC's application for approval to amend its distribution cost recovery factor pursuant to 16 Texas Admin Code 25.243 to increase distribution rates within the city should be denied, finding that the city's reasonable rate case expenses shall be reimbursed by the company, finding that the meeting at which this resolution is passed is open to the public as required by law, requiring notice to this resolution to the company and legal counsel.
Okay, I'll take a motion on this.
I'll make a motion to consider a resolution denying CenterPoint Energy Electric's intent to increase rates.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Discussion. Any comments from audience, this item? All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. We'll move on to item 6, award bid to, is it Series? What is it?
Yes.
Series Environmental for hauling storm debris to burn site in an amount not to exceed $202,530.
This is, we opened bids on February 15th, and of course, you know, we had made our application to TCQ, hoping that they would approve us to grind and leave the material there, but that was denied, so now we have to haul that debris to our burn site on Dow property in Freeport, and this is the hauling cost component. Overall, I estimate that'll cost us about $300,000. This series is the low bid for this. Novus, they did bid, but their component called for grinding it and then hauling it, which lowered our cost, but it forces us into a whole other approval process with TCQ, and
They
staff,
don't want us to grind.
staff doesn't want to go there. We'd just rather start the project and get it done.
And the funding you for this would come from?
For this comes from, we park it like our rest of our storm debris, 0900, which is our general fund. And, usually we hope for the best, that we've missed, our estimate for sales tax is low. And it currently is running, sales tax is doing very well, and we'll cover it in our budget, on the general fund side. If not, then we look at having to pull from reserves. But it's been, Pam, do you remember the last time we've had to draw reserves for a storm?
I don't think we ever have.
Usually we've always estimated our revenues low, and so we've always been able to cover those. Now, I'll put the caveat in there. If we do have another storm, though, then I don't know if we can absorb 2 storms
You're jinxing this
in 1 year. So, but if we don't have another storm, I think we'll be okay.
Did they give a time frame? How long it took?
We have 90 days, and then to get this done, and then we can get extensions on that. So I think we'll.
Time frame, once they start to, when they get done?
The company.
Oh, series. I believe they said 4 to 5 weeks once they get started for the hauling. The burning will take a little more time. I think we've got a bulldozer coming on the ground this week. We've already mowed the property to get it ready. That's probably why. I'm sure Brian's out there with the bulldozer right now.
It's crazy. It's crazy because they don't want us to put the mulch on the landfill because we may damage
The crust.
the crust.
Yes.
But we can put a bulldozer on there to move the stuff.
That's our state.
Don't give them any ideas.
Mary, you're a very logical person.
State
Anyway.
government at work, ladies and gentlemen.
All right, but again, the burning doesn't slow down the hauling. The hauling's gonna happen once they start, they'll haul it.
Yes, we'll start hauling. As soon as we get the contract signed in them and get them going, they will start hauling.
Okay,
Would they need any permits from TCEQ to burn?
We already have that.
yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Just want to make sure.
Our permit to burn has been approved.
What is the difference in the cubic yard estimates? Why,
We asked each company to go out there and estimate. We were
Oh,
estimating
eyeball it.
45,000, but we said, you've got to go out and do your own measurement and stuff, and we're gonna lock you in that measurement and your price. And so this will be a lump sum contract, so,
So if they
they
said
estimated
43
43, but they've said, you know, they have to haul all of that material for 202,530.
so if it's 50, they're still
It's
stuck?
202.
Yeah, they're still
Gotcha.
stuck. If it winds up being 25, I can't go back
We're
and
stuck.
and ask. We're stuck. Stuff. It's just. Yeah,
Done deal.
yeah, it's a done deal.
All right, take a motion on this item.
Move for approval.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any other comment anywhere? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries.
Should wait till the next one.
Item 7, approve change orders 1 through 4, an increase of $142,445.82 for Phase 3 of Downtown Revitalization Project. Megan.
So I want to start off by saying this has been budgeted for. It's part of the contingency. It's just not part of the contract that we have with Main Lane, the people doing the construction out there. So that's why this is coming to you, because it's an increase in their contract. It's not an increase in the budget. I'm not asking for more money yet.
It's already there, so.
Correct. Sal budgeted for a contingency, about $1 million of contingency. So this is tapping into that.
But you said yet, so I mean,
Yeah.
you're gonna ask for more money.
Maybe one day. Would you be surprised? So those 4 change orders are listed out. The first one was super minor. It was when we were doing the utility lines. It was a sewer line under 3,000. The second one is for the temporary U-turn and the temporary pavement that you see by Domino's and the local. So we added a stretch so that you can get into the parking lot by Sheer Perfection and R&M. We added one so you can access their parking lot at all times. It's just a small temporary road. We also added a U-turn in front of Domino's, in between Domino's and Worst House, so that you can utilize the parking in front of Domino's, which was not something that was originally in the budget, but something we felt like was necessary. There's at least 20 spots there, so especially during lunch and dinner, now there's more parking in that area. So those 2 were not budgeted. That's what you see there. You'll also see 3 and 4 are tied together. So the decrease on 4 is because the construction, they found that the inlet or the pipe that's there didn't have a bottom and it needed to be removed. And so they're replacing it with, you'll see on 3, with a larger pipe for sewer. So, and that will just help the drainage system right there. So we're removing one and replacing it with something larger and better.
That's in front of the CVS.
Yes, it's from, on that way between Oyster Creek Drive and the service alley.
Yeah.
Right there. Okay.
So those are those 4. They're all extremely recommended by staff, especially Sal's staff. So I support them as well.
Okay. Any questions?
Not related to this, but I do have a question on, we had originally, Mayor had talked about when they redid that street coming off OCD, there was a big dip there, they would try to level that out. Is that still in the plans, or would that be a change order?
Right in front of Walgreens? Is that
Yes.
what you're talking about?
Yes.
There's a little bit of improvement. There's not a.
Not taking it all the way out.
You're talking about the profile of that street there at that
That's where you took
location
your
there?
kids to learn how to drive a stand.
It's our first
We're-
skate park.
Yeah, we're keeping it. No. Part of the design was, or at least the charge that we gave the engineer was to lessen that drop. So it's gonna be more gradual
Okay.
than what it is right now.
Okay, thank you.
All right? Yeah. All right, I'll take a motion on this item, item 7.
I make a motion that we approve the change orders 1 through 4, an increase of $142,445.82 for Phase 3 of the downtown revitalization project as requested.
All right, I have a motion. I need a second.
Second.
Second, Mr. Baker. Any further questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Update on new business. There he is.
Good evening again. As you can see, our projects are moving along. We are getting close to Taco Bueno opening. That they're training staff right now, so we should have a new eating establishment open here very soon, possibly the end of this week or beginning of next week. McAllister's Deli, Chicken Salad Chick, La Madeline, those are all well under construction. We also have Julia's Donuts, which is coming in. They're a new establishment, going to be in the refaced shopping center directly behind the Vermeer. Is that what it is? How do you say that?
Over by Bartlett Motors.
Yes, right behind CVS.
Yeah, that looks good.
Yeah.
It didn't take much to make it look better.
Yeah, they did a great job out, facing that shopping center, and it's a great addition.
Is it gonna be a drive-through for this donut shop?
I believe so. So we also, Coastal Cages is very close to opening. We should be able to go in and swing some bats and swing some golf clubs there soon. Grazzi's Kitchen is in plan review. Lakewood Manor is plugging right along with their underground. And Harbor Freight is under review. Any questions, comments, or concerns?
So Harbor Freight is probably the big one that I think has just showed up
Yeah, Harbor.
on there. It was on the previous meeting, so
Yeah.
that confirms all the rumors that were out there.
That's the old, Food King building.
Yep.
Part of it.
All in the cover.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay,
Thank you.
all right,
Dave.
thanks.
All right, now, I won't be in the office the end of this week because I'll be watching the state water polo championship.
Oh, cool.
Friday and
You gonna do
Saturday.
what?
Watching water polo
Okay.
championship.
Weird, Whatever. Whatever floats your boat.
All right. We're gonna move on now to city manager's update.
The only thing I just wanted to remind, and I think everybody has it on their calendar, our CIP workshop is May 12th,
At 5:30 in this room.
and we will provide dinner.
Okay. And we're gonna do both sides of the CIP,
Yes, sir.
general and utility.
General utility and also half set.
Okay, all right. Very good. Item 10. Who's gonna give us an update on constructions? Eddie?
Mr. Herrera.
I think we've been through downtown and David mentioned Lakewood. Other than that, there's not a lot going on. We've got a lot of new construction, which David was talking about in 101 Winding Way and the Plantation, villas at Plantation. There's not much else going on. You guys have any questions about anything in particular? Anything that you've seen?
I sent a note out to Megan and to Modesto, is that since this weekend is Mother's Day weekend and stuff, can we ask the contractor to kind of just do a special little bit of a cleanup so that when people do come downtown for lunch and stuff, it's a little bit cleaner.
Okay.
I know there's only so much they can pull back.
Yeah, no, they've been willing to work with us on things like that, so it shouldn't be a problem. I just ask and they'll do
Walkway over there
it. Should be
by-
good.
By the local?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Neat little deal.
Yeah, it's a little bit bulkier than we typically have, and we'll see how it works. Most of the times, the contractors refrain from building something that big and heavy and bulky because it gets torn up as they move it back and forth. So we'll see how far
Gotta
it
have
lasts.
sturdy.
It is sturdy. That's,
And they'll fall
it's a
off.
crabbing pier in the middle of the,
Yeah,
of
that's
the
right.
street. We got the bull rock that you guys have seen here at the Civic Center. That belonged to this contractor. They have a rock dam in the ditch that you can't see unless you get out of the vehicle and look. It's down at the bottom there. They got that picked up this afternoon. It's gone, so, we,
And so that was for,
stormwater pollution prevention for that project because it's underground and it comes out in this ditch here.
okay.
Yep, so that one's
And that
taken
was
care of.
leftover material that didn't need to be used. Okay,
Correct,
so that's
yeah.
what it was.
Yeah.
We were all trying to scratch our heads. Where did that come from? It
Yeah.
looked like it was demo material.
Yep,
Okay.
same stuff.
And then, you know, I'm noticing, last few weeks, I guess, is that, we also need to ask our citizens, even though it's a construction site and there's a lot of stuff that's being moved around and everything, it doesn't mean it's okay to buy your six-pack, drink your six-pack out there and leave your six-pack out there, you know? And we need to be cleaning up again, behind ourselves out there in downtown.
Yeah, that's one of those things that if you talk to the church down there, they'll tell you that's an every weekend issue.
Right.
They actually have people that go out and patrol that area and pick all those empty beer bottles and six-packs up. It's just something that's coming to light because there's a lot more light being shined in that area.
Right.
But yeah, that's a definite issue. There's always beer cans and six-packs down
Well,
there.
there's been some nonprofits that have been asking about, you know, if they could, and this is a Keep Lake Jackson Beautiful thing, but it could be where they could take ownership of a part of a street, you know,
Correct,
and do stuff with it, but it's just.
Yeah, and I think,
We've been talking about
I
it.
think the
KLJB.
KLJB has an adopt a spot. So if you hear something, Mayor.
Okay.
Or anybody from council, get those to Laura Marie and we can get them signed up for adopt a spot.
That'd be great.
It's on the website now.
Okay.
And, they already have some registrations at this point.
That's good.
But it is something that's going to be a major focus of the group, this upcoming year.
Okay.
And they do cleanups once a month. The volunteers at Keep Lake Jackson Beautiful, they will try to get some churches and nonprofits together. And on I believe it's the second Saturday of every month, they gather and clean up, literally go around and pick up litter in downtown.
Okay, great. All right,
The only
Thank-
other thing we have for downtown, today we met with Carriage Flowers, and we're gonna try, if you hear any, grumblings, complaints, anything like that, please pass them along to us. So what we're doing is, we're working with her, I know you see the bridge at the local, but she did not feel like she had adequate walkway space to her part of the building. So we're gonna be working on a temporary walkway for her as well. For Carriage Flowers. And so if you hear anything else like that, something that you want us to go take a look at, we're getting pretty creative with how we can do things this go round, things they haven't done in previous phases. So this contractor is great to work with and Eddie's team's doing great.
back to construction for that area, because we're tearing that whole area out. Now, are they gonna, is the plan, is that was for all the, infrastructure for drainage, correct? Most of that was for conveyance of water?
So on that way, around the local,
Yeah.
they're done with water, sewer, and drainage now.
Okay, but a lot of that was drainage.
This
putting
last
big
part
culverts and
is
stuff in.
drainage, yeah.
So is the plan are they just gonna temporarily cover that up, or are they gonna go ahead and put in the new street?
No, they've got it open. It's all dirt now. They're
Right.
mixing the lime and they're coming back with the street.
So, okay, all right.
So that
That's
part
the
is
thing.
done,
So
yeah.
there's no temporary street that'll go in, it'll be.
No.
Correct.
They'll put in, that'll be the first new
Because-
street, yeah.
Yeah, because that pipe was so big and right in the center
Right.
of that, it wasn't worth trying to patch and come back and
Right.
tear right back up.
Great.
So have we kind of turned a corner a little bit and kind of,
Turn the corner, yeah.
get it?
Yeah.
Just on the amount of mess.
Let me
Yeah.
just interject, since you brought that subject up about removing pavement and
Right.
everything, and what it creates. The contractor is wanting to move on further with the drainage. There's still drainage that has to go up that way, in those crossings. So, as a matter of fact, we got an email from him today about wanting to start moving either on Circle Way or on that way. He gave us an option there. And what that means is, if they're gonna be doing that, we're gonna take concrete all the way down from that, if we're gonna go that way route, We're gonna dig it all the way from the
From the
local,
local to,
all the way down to
Orchard
Orchard
Creek
to
Drive.
Orchard Creek.
Yeah.
So, expect that.
And I'll
Yeah.
keep y'all in the loop, and we're also hand delivering letters to the businesses that are impacted, like we did with the last update I gave y'all. As soon as they know, they tell me, and then we get the letters out and I let you know as well. So, and we try and put something on social media or the website as well.
okay.
We've actually been very lucky with weather.
Yes. we
Why do
have-
you keep jinxing us?
I feel I'm on a roll. We're gonna keep it going.
We only want one storm. We only want.
So are we gonna
Megan.
get a freeze?
Megan, when you send us out a letter, just send us a map also and just
Yes.
let us know.
Okay.
So we can have an idea with the
Yes,
letter.
sir. Yeah,
That'll help out a lot.
it was in their letter as well with the businesses, so.
And then the
Yeah, it
last-
was with the business, but we just had the
Okay.
letter, we didn't have the map.
Last thing on construction goes is the suggestion that I floated out there about doing a shuttle downtown. Where are we at on that?
They're running their bus routes, normal bus routes, but they're not running a shuttle. I think
But they've extended it to Saturday
they've
as well.
extended to Saturday, so they're continuing to just going during their normal bus routes, but I think we've,
He did say they would increase their presence in downtown, but there is apparently numerous stops already along downtown, and so they're frequently,
yeah, let me see
Those.
if we can nail down how often they're going to each stop. But it's not a dedicated, it's not a
shuttle.
dedicated route shuttle for that.
Okay.
So I have a question. Go ahead.
Some of the business start closing down early now since the construction.
not that I've heard of, they're all running on regular hours, so.
Like I thought I noticed, what was the one where, the, hookah place, what's the new business there?
The who?
Oh, the backyard?
Backyard, I thought it was closing down early now because of some.
No, if you're there at the site at about 4:30, it starts.
No,
filling
no,
up.
in the evening time, like, I thought it was
Oh.
closing down.
Yeah, I don't know why they would close down the
Yeah.
evening.
That's-
Not that we've
thought-
heard of.
Yeah.
I don't think it has
We-
anything to do
I
with
haven't seen any
construction. If,
businesses close earlier.
yeah,
Okay.
Change their hours. at
and
all.
none of them have complained about
Yeah.
that specifically.
And I would,
Okay.
we were in the local, I don't know, 10 days ago, and I would have thought that they would have been affected the most. During lunchtime, they were packed, so customers are finding a way, to get to the store, so that's good.
Renee?
So my question was, I've seen a lot of folks in industry and use metal plates to cover for walkways rather than reconstructing that they'll have to remove anyway. So maybe the contractor could consider some of those around.
They
Carriage
have
Flower
metal
Shop
plates.
area.
One
The
like
issue is
Domino's.
attaching handrails. That's, these walkways here, we require them to have full handrails
Right.
so everyone can use them. Typically in residential areas, we'll allow regular just walkways like that, something that metal plates would work better for. And we have anybody that needs handrails, we put walkways with handrails at those houses, at those locations.
I'm talking
but
about
not
streets,
everybody
you know,
requests
instead of covering the streets up, putting.
We do
Oh,
have,
yeah.
there are a couple,
Yeah,
there are a
so some
couple
places
of
that-
locations.
Yeah,
Some
there's,
places they use it
there's
for-
one behind Domino's on North Parking Place, there's one there at the backyard, and there's one further down by the massage place there at North Parking Way and that way. But what these guys are doing is they're spending a little more money and they're using a black rock and an asphalt mix. It costs a little bit of money, but that's what they're patching the streets with. And as they go through with this next phase of drainage, if they do it before they're ready to replace pavement, they will be putting that black rock asphalt mix down there and have a traveling work zone through there.
Yeah.
So that they can keep
Yeah, I
traffic
mean,
moving.
My comment, today, and I think Sal and I have seen this, from phase one, this is 100% better. Is there always room for improvement? Yes, but this is night and day better, and it all comes down to having a good contractor.
Yeah, they did a good job.
I mean, me and Sal just do the best job.
You learn each time you do something.
Yin and yang.
I've
Yeah, you
heard
do.
a lot
We
of
do learn from
compliments
each-
from the businesses on the level of communication that you guys have done, so, I mean, they've been very happy with that.
So on North Parking Place, canopy removal. That one is still moving forward. It's just not moving as fast as
Yeah,
we
it's
would
kinda
like.
slow.
We've addressed all the issues, so now the wall is in the way that it needs to be. We're having issues with materials, which is the same thing that everybody is. I was talking to the guys at 101 Winding Way today. They're telling me that a little plastic ABS adapter for their downspouts is gonna end up holding up that project so they can't complete. $15 little part that you could go and get at any store, but now we can't. The Duralast itself is taking like 6 months to get the roofing material that we need to tie in the canopy. The silicone caulking that you use to glue that stuff together, you can't even find it right now. It's just not being made. So this contractor is working and trying to get this metal panel that we spec'd out. And they should have got it today. It didn't show up today. They're hoping tomorrow. And we'll just have to play it by ear. But everything is ready. We just need to put the skin on it and cover it up and call it done.
Only do with what you got.
Yes, sir.
All right, thanks for update.
Yes, sir.
On the complete opposite end, the library, all the materials came in great for that one, thank goodness. It is ahead of schedule, so, and under budget. I'll hold your applause.
It ain't done yet.
Oh, it's done. So, they will be returning the keys back to the library next week.
Great.
So the library is gonna hesitate a little bit just so we can get it properly cleaned and they can feel comfortable starting for summer reading come June 1st. But they are basically done. So I would love to give tours to anyone that would like to see it before we reopen. So I'll send out an email or a text with that information. And if you'd be interested in seeing it, please
Can we
let me
bring
know.
little people with us?
Of course. All the little people are welcome. But yeah, so that they plan on opening probably within the next week or two. Probably more like 2 weeks, but yeah, it's done and it looks great so far. So
Good, very good.
job.
Robin?
Right. Yes, it does look good. We actually called them, the same contractor, to come to give us a bid for our carpet at the rec center, and he has some really good ideas, and they're doing up this. I mean, I've really been impressed with them when I went over there. So, we have good news. Everything's so far still going good, except we're just still waiting on the metal roof, as that
Two
gets
more
done.
weeks.
2 more weeks, yeah. It's, the main reason is it's because of the warranty on it. They have to actually fabricate it in-house to get the metal, so we're still waiting. Everything else, we've got all the inspections done for the natatorium roof, all of that. So just a little bit of the metal roof done. Skate park's looking really good. I believe Sorel's done as of last Friday, I think because they loaded up equipment, and so they're starting to get everything ready for all the concrete. So you can really see. I tried to get good pictures. I'm gonna have to try to get on the roof and maybe see. No, I probably won't. I won't lie. But maybe the drone can come, play around and get a great picture because you can see the really how the skate park looks now.
Robin,
I mean,
you can't get on the roof unless I see that you've attended ladder safety course.
yes, we've done that too. So. Yeah, we've had those. And talking about downtown, we did I don't know if you'll go by, that they finished the circle flower beds. So for Mother's Day, it will look pretty there.
Those look
So
very nice.
drive by, yeah, I was real happy with them. Any questions for me? Nope, good.
No,
Thank
very
you.
good, thank you. All right, we'll move on to items of interest, community item interest. Vinay? Buell?
Everybody, early voting still going on.
Yep.
Don't forget Mama. Mama's
Oh,
Day.
yeah,
Yeah, Mother's Day Sunday.
that's right.
I didn't
Rhonda?
know that till about 10 minutes ago.
Nope, Mother's Day Sunday.
Okay. JB?
No, sir.
A couple of things, just some things, questions, I guess, is, I've gotten some calls, people they saw that we were taking some trees down Orchard Creek, which were trees that were gonna fall down, Orchard Creek Drive, but we're leaving stumps, so what kind of plan do we have on stumps? I kinda told them I would think that we're probably waiting till we have a number of them where we could have a contractor come in and knock them out, but.
Robin, do you want to speak to that?
Yeah, there was a couple of trees, they were just trying to hurry up and get down because there were safety issues. I'll have to address that with him. The main thing right now was just to
Just
get
get
the
them
trees down, but I'm sure we'll get rid of the stumps on those too. The
Yeah,
crews.
the people that
Yeah.
called, they said they knew the trees were bad shape. They're
Yeah.
glad we took them down, they're just asking.
Yeah, we'll make
stumps
sure
are
and see what he needs to do on that. I have to find out, because I'm not sure, the contractor that we had the staff. I know one of them, we were looking at the contractor, and another one we were trying to get down ourselves, so. But I'll find out from him, and we'll take care of those too.
Okay, another thing is I don't think we have enough time to do anything like this, but I've noticed what some other cities are doing for Memorial Day. And one city is kind of interesting, is what they did is that, and it ended up, I think it was city, and they ended up bringing the county in, but what they did is they created a moving memorial for, soldiers and people that have served, that have passed, and in service. And what they did was they made really nice signs that can be placed throughout the city. And so that so it's kind of like, not a memorial wall, but but it shows of the people that that were residents for some period of time in the city. And they just, during Memorial Day, that Memorial Month, they move, they have these signs, and they just move them throughout the city. And so I just thought that was something very neat and not very expensive. I think they pay $75 a sign, and they're durable to where they can be used year after year type stuff. So I think that would be something special that maybe we could think about in future, doing something like that. And I don't know how many of the people that would be, but it may be a short list. Hopefully it's a short list, but.
You talking about serving that passed away? Or?
Yeah, no, that have served and then passed away in service.
Oh,
While they're in service, yeah. So those are just a few things that I wanted to bring up there. All right, that's it. Modesto, y'all have anything?
Anybody on staff? No, no, sir.
All right, we're adjourned. Thank you.